Hi, welcome back. Today we're with my good friend Paul Fergonise at the Listening Room. Paul, thanks for having us over.
Yeah.
I was trying to think when we first met. I think it was about a couple years ago. I suppose it was when you did the video up on the rim for Harrison Fjord.
Is that when we met?
Kind of, because Kenny introduced you to me because you needed to borrow stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's when we
provided like
somewhat
80% of all the mics.
I don't remember, but that's when you were like, "Hey, can I borrow some stuff to do this video at the rim?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything at the moment, so
man.
sure." So
that was young Paul that was like, "Hey, can I borrow a $300 mic, another $300 mic?"
I remember thinking at the time.
mics.
I remember thinking at the time because I think Kenny told me, he was like, "I just think you get like a DI box or something." I was like, "Oh yeah, whatever, it's fine." And then you were eventually like, "I need like 2 421s, however many 57s you got, however many stands you got." And I was like, "All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's cool."
You're way too nice. Like, if I would have came up to me now, I'd have been like, who are you? What are you gonna do?
Right.
Let me go with you and make sure everything's all right.
I feel that. I don't know. I've always been kind of pro helping just creativity happen, you know, if I can. And I was at the time I was in between a bunch of sessions, so I was like, it's all gonna sit here, or you can use it. And I was like, if anything does happen, we'll figure it out like adults.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of go from there. Yeah. But anyway, that's.
And I was totally prepared to pay for everything because
Right.
the session got cut to be like this small period of time because it was raining like beforehand, and we're like, we might not be able to do this. And then finally it cleared up and we went out there and we did it. And all of a sudden, like, it worked out with the video too, because like the clouds cleared up too. And it was like awesome shots, and then we could get it done. And then, I don't know, and then all of a sudden we captured it, and then we took everything in, and then it didn't rain until that night, and it poured.
I bet. It does kind of randomly pour up there. But it was a really well done video. It sounded great. I mean, you guys were on the edge of like a cliff or some type of mountain. It was a fantastic scenery.
Yeah. Mogi on Rims is a cool place.
Yeah.
Freddie scoped it out, and ever since he introduced it to me, I've been, you know, going up there, just taking a day trip, and it's a cool spot.
It is definitely a beautiful place here in Arizona. Yeah. But yeah, that's when I met you, and since then we've kept in touch over the last couple of years or so, and now you're here at the Listening Room, which is somewhat recent. So how did that happen?
So I got this gig due to my good friend Ryan Hall, and it's a live broadcast recording studio venue.
Everything.
Yeah, it's cool. And the owner, Jim Coletti and Adam Smith, owners, put this place together, and it's just a really cool spot, basically catered to the performer, and they're very open individuals, and they allowed me to have this back room and let me literally demo it and build a mixing suite in here.
I think you told me it was originally just like a storage closet.
Yeah. Now the storage is in that small closet. Yeah. On the other side of the wall there, and yeah, I sort of repurposed the shelves into being like somewhat of a bass trap. And yeah, once everything's out, you realize how much space is in here.
No, yeah, that definitely, with any room, you definitely kind of go, there's a lot, and then you bring all your stuff in, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and then it shrinks back up because speaker placement, everything has to be kind of wide, and you wish you had this wall torn down, and then you had the rest of the space.
Right. But it looks like you've got it pretty well covered. I have listened to some stuff in here, and it sounds good. And yeah, I mean, so you're working out of here now. You're mixing your own stuff that you freelance out of this room.
Yep.
I mean, you're pretty much existing in this room, but you also you kind of record the events that happen here as well, or?
Yeah. So every show, with the consent of the artist, is multi-tracked right after the preamp, because we're using an M32, and that's a cool feature with that. And after the show, if the band wants to do a live CD or like a music video or a few videos or just a few songs to have like something to show of their performance, or if they just want like a live album, we can provide that service. And I'll mix it in here, which is kind of cool because when the artist is here and you just open up the door and show them, I'm not just a guy with a laptop asking to mix your stuff. We have some legitimate equipment in here to process their recordings and do some cool post-production stuff and try to make a good standard quality record.
So every event, you guys are like prepared at the permission of the artist. You're prepared to do audio and video every time.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the video's pretty interesting because it's their iPhones, iPhone 8s, and it's this whole synchronized application using Switcher app, and they all sync up and they're all around the room, and they do like cool fade shots and or fast shots between artists during like a solo, and it's interesting how everything's just on an iPad now.
Yeah.
It's
No,
cool.
I mean, we used to, this is the second video now that we're not shooting with an iPhone. The first 5 or 6 videos were all iPhone shot.
Really?
You know, yeah. And
Not
Kenny decided that it wasn't good enough, so we got a camera.
You can always have better quality, but then it costs money.
Yeah. Well,
DSLRs, and it just goes up and up and up.
Right, yeah. It can all go up and up from there.
Yeah.
But aside from the events and the venue, you also are planning to record, just in general, artists out of this building, correct?
Yep.
Cool.
I'm prepared to do, got headphone mixes right here, some preamps, just 9 preamps right now.
Growing.
Growing. And I also own an M32 console, so if it needed more than what I have, which might be rare, but we could do that. It's a different workflow, but this is like the studio workflow that I got going right now, and we can do easy overdubs, vocals, like vocal guitar, and I would prefer the band to just do let's just do a one taker, and then do like overdubs, and in that case we would record in the live room and then use the M32 out there. It's just playback's a little interesting on that. You have to just reroute and then play through.
Back through the console, right?
Yeah, and it's just a little more complicated, but it's doable.
Yeah. So you kind of want to pursue kind of like a live route for most bands, and
Well, that's always the best.
yeah. Well, I agree, but
Like just to have them do that one take.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
No, I'm all for that. I mean, the majority of the stuff I do is live, or pseudo live as I call it, where they're playing together, but we might go in knowing that we're not going to use like the guitar pass or something, and I'll do my best to make it so that it's not going to interfere with later overdubbing.
Yeah.
But I agree. I'm 100% all for live. It's an interesting question that I ask a lot of engineers too, because there is a very I don't know. I feel like there are very strong opinions of which way to go with that, especially today, because we're no longer hindered or restricted by 24-track tape machines and stuff like that. So it's like you can go either way. But I'm with you on live. I do like live.
Yeah, and also like with everything, it depends on the project. Like Sunconscious, we did a 2-day recording sesh, and it was like mostly live, but then at the end of it all, with overdubs and let's retract that one guitar because it could be better. Like there's still that live feel, but there's some overdubs in there, and then that also adds to it all, like a tambourine or like a shaker and just little elements. But if you can get it live and just get it all right there,
Right.
that's super awesome.
And that's what you've just recently finished up. You did the initial tracking at my place for the Sunconscious stuff, but then
And you too.
Huh?
And you helped too.
Oh yeah, I did. Well, because you couldn't make it. You ditched. You bailed on your own session, man.
I had another gig.
That was funny though. I was like, man, he just bailed on his own session.
I was glad that you were able to help with that. No, but really, it was like, it was just a cool segue for them, I think, because you knew your room a lot better, and you were able to just like get them in the feel of how to use your room, because I don't know, you have a cool space, and it's like I don't know what the whole idea was to go into there, but I just knew that you could handle it.
Yeah.
And like,
well, I had to.
I put it on you, and it was cool. And then the next day, I think it was already like set in stone how things were going. So they just came in the next day, and then I just pressed record.
And then it was over 2 different times. I remember we had 2 different distinct like setup and teardown dates, right? Like it was it wasn't all just one time, and then you also like you guys left, and then I think like a few weeks later you came back and did another session. But that's neither here nor there. But you finished up the overdubs here, and you kind of wrapped that up. You mixed it all here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Is that the first official project you've done out of this place so far? Like that isn't related to a live venue at the listening room?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've done a few live sessions that were performed here, and then they wanted like 2 or 3 songs
Added on?
Yeah, they just wanted like, you know, this song, this song, this song.
Oh, I got you.
And they want it for a small little CD.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But mixing Sunconscious, it was cool to have this space because Jim was open to, Jim the owner was open to, just there's nothing going on, use it, use the space, and so he just brought some guitar amps in there, and we'll see how it looks. It's a pretty long, like, hall kind of thing.
Well, you've got some options out there. I mean, you've got the room right outside this door, which is like a bit of a green room kind of thing.
Yeah, it is a green room for when we have the bands here, but I'm gonna second it to be a like a vocal or just the small booth.
Yeah, kind of
that's
like
just right around here, and small cable runs, and yeah.
That's cool. But it is, I mean, it's a room where you could, like, it'll be like your dead space. You know, you can kind of, you can still fit a drum set in there. But no, that's cool. I mean, I think the best places in town are kind of supported and backed by people like the owner of this place where, you know, they have these locations or these buildings that are able to be used for more than maybe what they were initially intended for. And I think that's what I've found in Phoenix, like the best studios that I'm really comfortable at are ones that I'd say the public doesn't necessarily know that they're there, you know?
Well, as you have experienced, it's definitely hard to find the place. It's located on a lot shared with a auto mechanic, and it's just a small room back here, and then the only time it's kind of evident is when we put the signs out, and then there's some lights that just lead to the door, and there's an arrow that's lit up.
That's not too bad. I mean, I think I experienced that same kind of headache with the warehouse, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I always tell people how to get there, and I'm like, you got to search this place on the street front. The place we have has an address, but it tells you to go from a way that doesn't exist.
It's the same with this. It takes you to the church.
I'm like, there's one way in and out, and it's double gated. They're like, I'm not going to get murdered, am I? I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, depends on the time. Depends on the time.
Depends on the time. Yeah, and it's always there because, you know, the place is used for, you know, business on weekdays. So I always tell fans, like, if it's during the week that you want to do something, we have to go in at like 6 or 7 p.m. And we're good until about 4, when like the maintenance guys show up to start their day. Yeah, to start their day.
That's cool.
I was like, we're good until about 3 or 4, but I was like, it's got to be like a night thing. So it also kind of adds like the whole like, are you gonna kill me? kind of bad.
Has to be a night, really dark, no lights.
Yeah.
No one will know.
Yeah. But no, it's a lot of the coolest places in town I think are like that. There's many home studios too that I'm also still discovering places I haven't been to yet, but people are like telling me that bands that I worked with or whatever, they're like, have you gone to this place yet?
Yeah.
I'm like, where is it? I've never heard of that. And they're like, oh, it's just a house in Tempe.
Yeah, like I saw a picture just recorded here. I'm like, whoa, there is some mad equipment. And then it's just like a house in the historical district. And it's just like this epic looking small cozy room, but like really nice gear.
Yeah. It might be one of the places I've been talking to with some other people too. I forget what it's called.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
It's up in that area. And there's a couple up there.
Yeah, it's just cool. Like you can put nice ass gear in just a room and repurpose the room and make it happen. Just like this. Because this used to be, the listening room used to be a storage because the owners actually live upstairs. It's just like big.
It's like this whole first floor.
This whole first floor was just storage for like the lot owner who has the auto repair shop. And there was just like a lot of old stuff from previous owners that were here because this used to be a tile shop and like a law firm, and they just had all their junk in here, just like left it. So Jim one day came down and he just stopped and just saw the potential because he used to have like a similar space some time ago, and then it went away, but then he saw the potential in here, and he lives upstairs and also has offices, and there's a studio upstairs as well, and yeah, it's just this whole cool creative space now, and it's still open to like we had a guy who was in here, I forgot his name. but he was doing like podcasts and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool because he had like his own little post-production setup, and then I'm the second person that has been in here, and we're supposed to have like our videographers and just like house everything for the listening room, and that way we can have like video editing while like audio editing is being done, and if there needs to be like synchronization or something happening, we can all just work cohesively, and that's the idea, is just to make it all creative.
That's very cool. No, it's very cool. I think that this is an idea that a lot of venues are trying to get around to, and I'm seeing it pop up more. But yeah, it's just it takes a team of people to kind of, with the know-how and the willingness to kind of put it all together.
Yeah.
I think you guys are definitely a good leap ahead of everyone else at the moment. It seems that I'm aware of.
It's just a different space, and when artists come here, they think it's just like, all right, set your stuff up, plug in, and play. We don't need a PA, because it is a small room, but excuse me. At the same time, it's like we just have to let them know this is also a recording session, because there's like I'll show you. There's room mics, and there's also like a speech before the show, just saying this is a recording session, basically.
Right.
And it's just really cool. And at the end of it, with the audience that's just like engaged with the recording, and like in between songs, it's just like more energy that's fed into the fire, and it's just really cool.
I would assume it's cool for both sides, because the audience too is ingrained forever, immortalized forever in like the experience of the.
It's a different thing. They're like,
yeah.
Are we just gonna stand? Is there a bar? There's no bar. There's no coffee. Anything that's like BYO, and you show up, and it's just this nice facility that you. I don't know, just different acts have come in. Like there's been like yoga. There's been a listening party to like an EP where there's a bunch of headphone amps and a bunch of headphones, and it was just like this cool hi-fi session kind of thing. Yeah, it was cool. And yeah, the more that people are finding out about this, about how cool it is, I think it's just adding one extra thing that you can't really get anywhere else. Like you can get a recording like at Crescent. You know, we can do that for artists there. And then at Valley Bar, if you wanted to, you know, have a multi-track, just plug in your laptop to the M32 and you have it. But here is more like a prepared thing, and it's a cozy audience. So it's kind of like a VIP, like a special thing too. So when we have like more well-known artists, it's a very, very special treat for the fans, because it's like you're really not going to see anything like this anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, at least yet, yeah. I'd hope to see more pop up, but so far you guys are definitely leading that front. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's take a look around at some of the stuff in here. So you're just in here. You do mostly in the box, correct?
Yeah, I do. I deal with all the plugins, which is just part of my workflow. I mostly learned at Crescent mixing, so we usually use Waves plugins over there.
Right, because you've got like what is it, the board you have there?
The SE48.
Yeah, and that's like integrated to work with Pro Tools, or not Pro Tools, but it works with like the Waves stuff and all the.
Yeah, you can use licenses on there. There's a few other plugins that you can use on there, but we primarily use Waves, and so I've just become aware, just really know how like the SSL channels sound, and like the 1176 or the API 2500, and that's just what's been in my workflow over there with like grouping and parallel compression and just like vocal chains. Like the C6 is like a must on vocals now for me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to fall down the rabbit hole of getting a whole bunch of outboard gear, because I'm like, well, I have 3 vocals. Yeah. Now I need 3 of these, and that's expensive.
Yeah.
So I feel like that money can go into the important stuff like summing, and eventually like some mixed bus compression, or just some cool processing that can like help the entire 2-track, or like some groups like drums, like have a thing for drums, and then go back into the summing mixer and just go back into the box.
Totally. I feel you. And you mentioned summing, so you are using a Neve 8816.
Yep.
Which is their, they still make these, right?
I think they do, yeah. I think so. They do have the new,
there's the
Portico.
that's the Rupert Neve stuff, but this is the Neve AMS. They're different companies.
Yeah, it's true.
But I'm pretty sure Neve AMS is still making these, and I was really close to going this kind of route. I just, you know, with the console, I was like, well, it's like one or the other. They both kind of do the same thing for me. But how are you liking it?
I really love it.
Yeah?
I've yet to utilize it, like we were talking about earlier, with recording sessions, because it has really cool cue features on there. And if you get the expansion fader pack, you can utilize these as sends, as auxiliary sends.
Oh, really? So they kind of become a whole nother output then? At that point. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But right now, these are my, for my level pots.
They're your faders.
Yeah. And then we got panning, and then it has cool features with, like, if you win, well, I did have a compressor, but when I get another one, eventually, you can do, like, parallel compression, or if you have an outboard reverb, you can utilize the cue feature on here to send to a headphone mix while you're tracking. So it's just, right now, for me, has been mixing. So, like, the wide button just, like, adds this sparkle to it. And I just keep it at noon, but as soon as you engage it, it just does this cool thing. I don't know. It's like...
It's got to be some type of mid-side trick or something? Or
you can use it with that because the, I think it's this one, it'll engage it to utilize the mid-side. So this will become mid, and then that will become side.
Interesting.
And then you can go back into it after you've adjusted it.
Right.
Go back into the mix. I've yet to dive into all that because I don't yet have the gear to do that, but that is a feature that's available on it.
Interesting. I didn't know any of that. That's cool. So that does a lot more than I thought it did.
Yeah, and then this is the master fader. So at all the way up is 0. And I really like that because, like I said, I learned how to mix by mixing live. So, like, having your master at 0 and just mixing into your master is just, I kind of wanted that feature. So I just thought it would be cool to have a semi mixer to kind of integrate that feel back into things. And that's why I have the artist mix too, so I can get away from the mouse. Because there's times where I'm like, I wish I could get the kick and the bass and just work it really quick. Instead of, like, all right, kick down, all right, bass up.
You gotta click and select and all that stuff. Yeah, we were talking the video before, 2 videos back, we did one with Tony, Anthony Brandt, and I was talking to him about these too, because, you know, the whole tactile feeling of just being able to ride faders, and I think, I don't know about you, but I feel like I've done one mixing session with this for a client at his place, and it really truly was a godsend for me because I'm so used to consoles, and I felt like I could build the mix and get it going way quicker than just click, click, click kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, or like start with all drums kind of up and then, like, I don't know, it's just really weird. And I mean, that's how I've mixed for the longest time. But now I just really like the feel of it and I can page through it. The M32 allows you to use 8 faders, but you can't page through Pro Tools. You would have to move your group within the mix screen on Pro Tools. So you'd have to drag whatever you wanted, and, like, all the faders turn, or all the all the channels turn blue in Pro Tools when you're utilizing the M32, and so you would have to drag the channel into that blue for the the console.
Is it just like 1 through 8 or something, or that work? How does
it's
it determine?
the VCA side of the console.
No, I mean, how does Pro Tools determine which 8 channels go to the 8 faders?
It's just, I think, how the M32 is. It's like a Mackie protocol. So you know how you have to go into Pro Tools and then engage that? You have to enable that or some other one in there, like MUI or something. And then there's a button on the M32 that says DAW remote. You click that, and then the right side of the console just turns into rewind, forward, play, stop, and then the 8 faders. But there's no page.
Right.
So then I got this guy, and now I have, like, click the channel, you know, engage solo, mute. And that's also cool because you can, like, all right, take these out. Put them back
that's
in.
huge. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's such a little thing, and, like, you know, quite a bit of investment for the small thing, but it really does change the workflow.
Yeah, and I think everyone that I know that has picked these up And you can link, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I've seen people link a bunch of them together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if
Yeah.
you really want
I don't know
to
how
have,
many you can, but you can definitely link.
I would
more than
assume
one.
over network, I would assume you can do up to like probably, I mean, I'd imagine, quote me if I'm wrong, I'd imagine you can go up to like 64 or something, right? Is what I would
I was
imagine.
going to say 8. But, probably.
Well, I mean like channels. So probably,
Yeah.
probably the equivalent of 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
64
anyways,
of those.
yeah,
Yeah.
64 of them. You can make an SSL 9000 right here. No, but I think everyone that's gone this route has definitely kind of learned the value of just like, it just feels right, feels better. And that's huge. Even for mixing in the box, it's just huge to be able to have a fader. I don't know if you do your
automating.
automation. Automation moves.
That's like, all right, turn on, like I'm about to work on guitars. And like once it goes into different parts, I like to, like, oh yeah, that's the guitar that needs to come up now. And instead of like, doing extra cutting and pasting and like creating a whole separate thing, I just like to keep it like the live feel. Like,
right.
All right, I know he's about to go into a solo, and I'll just bring it up and then bring it back down into the mix when it's done.
No, that's definitely. I mean, I definitely when I did automating in Pro Tools, it was you do the block level stuff, and I've since learned to make them fades because it is awkward. And it's like, oh, here it is, kind of thing.
Unless it's like a tom and it's gonna come out anyways, and you just need it to be loud.
Sometimes it works, but when you're trying to do like guitars from like verse to chorus or something, it's like, it's weird.
Yeah,
but
definitely audible.
Yeah, but cool. And I wanted to ask you, when you picked up the Orion, the Antelope stuff, I'm very intrigued and curious about Antelope. And I'll say this because it's not like they're going to come hunting after me. My biggest beef with them is that I have beef with Antelope only because I feel like they have this annoyingly convenient upsale system where they're just like, all of our boxes are at full potential if you buy the atomic clock, which just so happens to be the most expensive box they make. Yeah. And it's like, if you don't have the atomic clock, our boxes are really good, but you should probably get the atomic clock with all your boxes, to get the full potential. And I'm sure it's fine without it, but I've always
found... It still has this oven clock in here.
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't know if I buy into the whole atomic clocking benefits thing, but that's my one gripe with Antelope is that I feel like they have that annoyingly convenient kind of upsale system scheme built into their business.
Like they give you the taste, but they're like, this could be 10 times better with their 10x,
whatever,
clock.
But how are you liking it otherwise?
It was a learning curve for sure, because before I had the Blackline Audio modded 002, the Signature series, or Signature mod, and that was really cool. That was like eye-opening for me with audio interfaces, and definitely changed my perspective on how it could sound, like how big of a difference it could sound. And it was just really cool to have the 002, but when I got the 8816, I needed more outputs.
More I/O, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, I was looking around, and I was thinking of maybe getting a Blackline Audio modded, what is it, the 96 that they have? It's like their older one, their older interface. I'm blanking on the name.
The old DigiDesign stuff?
Yeah, but it's like modded, or even like the newer Avid HD.
The new Avid I/O?
Yeah, just like an HD rig, because I'm like, well, then I would have HD, and then it would be modded, which would be like cool too.
Right.
But then I saw this, and I'm like, well, 32.
Even though you don't need 30. I was going to ask why 32.
And it's single rack.
Yeah, those are the impressive things about it. It's a single rack unit, and what's now, Lynx has kind of also bumped them, and they said, hey, now we're doing a box that can do 32 in a single rack as well.
Yeah.
But when it first came out, it was like the only box you could get in arguably the Pro line world that was 32 I/O, because everyone frustratingly went to 16, and then you had to get another box. But it was single rack too, and it was like a huge thing, and that was the first really big intriguing thing about it.
Yeah, they definitely make a point to point that out.
They're pushing boundaries and they're pushing limits, which is great. But
while keeping the quality, because when I first I listened to the 002 and then I put this in and I listened to it, I thought it sounded weak and flat and the low end wasn't there.
Yeah.
But then I slowly remembered, or I started to like A/B things, and I started to realize that it actually was there and accurate, and like I can hear things clearly, and it's also like the room and stuff, but I don't know, it was just a learning curve for sure.
Right.
The 002, I don't want to say the low end was hyped, but it was like, it was this tight, powerful low end.
Mm-hmm.
And it did translate for me, you know, in other systems, like the car and then the iPhone,
right.
listening through your earbuds and stuff.
Totally.
But I don't know, after getting used to it, I realized like, it's definitely clear,
mm-hmm.
and you hear the whole spectrum, and I don't know, it's a really good interface.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
That's great. Yeah, and I touched on that topic kind of briefly, like what you're mentioning with Matt Alderwood a while back in that video too, where we, because he was hesitant for a while, mostly because it was expensive, but you know, of going from, he was running Motu, which Motu is great, but I definitely consider Motu to be more on the prosumer side than like the professional side.
Right.
Nothing against Motu, but that's what I feel when I hear their stuff. But I can totally relate with you on experiencing going from, we'll just say prosumer boxes to like professional grade, you know, hi-fi conversion, you know. That learning curve is real. Like I definitely did that, and I immediately heard that I had more information, but it took me a long time, not a long time, but it took me a while to kind of relearn how to capture things, mm-hmm. because I was like recording wrong again. Like my mic placement didn't work with, like I really heard like errors with like mic placement and mic choice that I had.
Because you can start to hear things.
You really start to hear detail. And it's like, oh shoot, my mic techniques that were kind of futzy or willy-nilly with like the prosumer stuff, but it was okay, mm-hmm. aren't gonna fly anymore. Right. And you know, I had
the
to
clocks
like,
definitely make a change. Like you got the Big Ben, and all the little things on the chain just add that little bit. So that's what I've been working on, like making the whole chain, the small little chain, but just make it like as powerful as it can be.
Right.
And with this, it was, I don't know, it was that to me.
That's cool. And monitors, you also recently kind of got these PMCs, which I was really excited about, and I really wanted to hear them, and they do sound great.
Yeah, they're crazy. They're like these crazy hi-fi, professional, just flat, but like you hear everything kind of monitor. Mm-hmm. And after like building out this room, I thought like I really needed something that was gonna like help me get over like the fact that it's a smaller room, but I wanted it to sound big. So whenever I work with artists, I don't want them to come in here and not be impressed with what they're hearing.
Right.
So I watched like the Warren Hewart Vintage King like shootout.
Right.
And I kept like going back to that video and like hearing his comparisons, and like in real life, he was just like, these just sound good on everything. Mm-hmm. But then this one sounds good just with this, and then this one just sounds good with this, and I can see it being used, but like PMCs just seemed like the right way to go. And it sucks that I couldn't really hear them, and I dropped the kind of money that I did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, for how much you paid, I would have gone. I would have gone to VK, man.
You know,
and done it. Monitors are so personal, you know. Like I've heard PMC now here out of yours. I've heard ATCs, which are great. Mm-hmm. I just can't afford ATCs.
Yeah, people usually compare the ATC, what is it, the 25, the C, or the SCM 25s, or.
Yeah, that's like their main one. That's a three-way, right? I think. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like ATCs, and then the barefoot monitors, of course, I've heard, and like once again, just can't.
Because all you need are those, because they can emulate the NS10 sound, and right, like that's the
barefoots?
The little knob.
Oh,
it's like the classic or whatever. It just like changes because it's all DSP.
Oh, I wouldn't know about that. I've just heard I've heard like the mini mains, and I've heard the ones that were at Josh's place, Sound Museum. He's got like the big ones.
Oh yeah, he has the
crazy
like, PA system of a studio
like
monitor.
$20,000 speakers or something. It's crazy. But yeah, they sounded great. But I still come back to, my point is that monitors are personal, but I still come home and come back to my old Adam P22s, and I love them. It's the speaker that made sense to me 10 years ago when I first heard them, and when I could finally, because they're hard to find a pair, but when I finally found a pair, I snatched them up, and I've been happy since. You know, I don't know what I'm gonna do with those things.
Yours sound good.
Yeah, I think I got lucky. I think there's a lot of stupid luck happening at my house. You know, like because that room that I'm mixing in shouldn't sound good. But I think I lucked out with just being able to get those speakers where I've got them in very minimal room treatment, nothing on this level.
Yeah.
But but you've said that, and my Anthony, who's really delves into researching how to properly get a room, he's like, no, it sounds good in here. He's like, I think you're fine, and I'm just like, lucked out.
Yeah, you got close reflections, and I think the only thing with your room would probably be like low end response.
Totally. No, that's definitely, that's the weakness of any room, but definitely small rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This room, I hear the imperfections, even still with, what I've done, and there's still a whole bunch left to do in here, even though it's a small room, but like,
Right.
there's a lot of trapping that can be done. There's still like the back wall that isn't treated. There's still that, slap back, which isn't really noticeable. To be honest, because all the first reflections are right here.
Yeah, level related to,
But yeah, for what it is right now, it's pretty powerful. And like the whole deal with the PMCs is like, they're supposed to be for the not perfect room. So like if you're in a truck, for the people that do like broadcasts and stuff.
Right.
Not about the size or anything, like they're just supposed to sound good. And that's why I kind of felt confident with the 6s. I didn't want to get the 5s. I'm like, that's too small. And I think the 8s would make the low end in here sound a little more ridiculous. But the 6s have been sounding pretty huge. And with Sunconscious stuff, the low end on that is like, I think I over mixed the low end a little bit, but hearing back from the mastering engineer, but he said it was definitely tameable in mastering. So I'm still working on the placement in here, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Like I have them marked of how they were earlier, but I'm slowly experimenting, and like I said, to be honest, I might get rid of the NS10s from being where they are so that I can move the PMCs closer.
Closer together?
Because they just sound, like the closer they start getting, the bigger and more clear the stereo images. Which is interesting because like the high drivers are in the inside and they're also like upright, but I don't know, they sound really cool. No matter where I've been putting them too, like oh, I can mix with this, and I put them on their sides when I first got them too, and like, oh, I can mix with this too, and just like swapped them because that one's supposed to be the left when it's on the side. But I did.
That makes sense, yeah.
I did them how they are now, on the side, and they sound badass either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good speaker. Like I said, it's a big investment. It's a good speaker.
Yeah.
But I'm happy it's working out. So to just touch on the NS10s, you before the PMCs, you were working on remind me.
On the Equator D8s.
Right. And did you? But you were. I remember you saying that you mostly used the NS10s at that point too. Right? Or am I wrong about that?
Yeah.
Mostly NS10s?
I did. I used NS10s before then, but after I got the Equators, I used those. And to be honest, I used those primarily for the whole mixing of Sunconscious. And right at the end, I got the PMCs. And there's some tweaks, like I'm like, oh, no, like that can't be like this. Because the PMCs just highlighted a whole bunch of imperfections in the mix. With just like, I don't know, just like minute editing and like a little bit of placement stuff, and maybe like reverbs and effects kind of space stuff. But with the Equators, they're just really cool sounding monitors. But after I got these, I just sold them to kind of help fund these back in.
A fraction.
But the NS10s, I don't know, I really want them to work, but the stupid screen is so big.
Right. Well, I mean, maybe you could, I mean, if you get the, I would get the PMCs placed exactly how you want.
Yeah.
And then I would try to find a spot that maybe could work, or maybe float your screen or something.
Like,
I don't know.
When I was in construction mode still, but still needed to work, I had the NS10s on here.
Which is, a lot of people...
and I would just turn it on and hear it from a totally different perspective in the room.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool.
That's what Andy Siegel has at MCC. He's got them like really close together. And I think, I could be wrong on this, but I believe it's Vance Powell who also likes to put them like right next to each other. Yeah. So they're still getting a stereo feed, but they're basically a mono pair at that point. And he likes to have them off to the side right next to each other. And that's his mono check, I think, is just switching to a pair close together, or it used to be at some point.
Yeah. So in case you don't have like the mono feature on.
Well, I think he just physically preferred checking mono information by just making two speakers physically positioned in kind of a mono format.
That's interesting.
not so much like that he didn't trust a mono sum switch. I think it was just that was what he preferred.
And like that's probably what he has, and he's like, it works. I'm used to it. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I'm sure you could find use for them. I mean, it's definitely such an industry standard. I wouldn't get rid of them unless you had to.
Yeah, and they sound even more better because I have the 4B Bryston.
Oh yeah.
And after I got that, I'm like, oh, this is really cool, because it just came to life. Because before I was using this this little QSC, which was fine when my wife first got me the NS10s. Then she helped me get the amp too, and that's what I learned. Like that's when I started. Like I want to go down the mixing route. So I got to get serious. I got to get the NS10s, and that's what I've had for 5 years now, because it was a birthday present.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't want to get rid of them, but they're kind of in the way right now. But I just need to find a place. To put them.
You're still learning your space. You'll find new life for them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Well, great. Let's check out the rest of the space.
Cool.
So this is the room that we were mentioning before, the kind of green room area.
Yeah. Well, this is the green room.
This is the green room.
When there's no artist or performer, I will eventually use it as as a vocal booth, or maybe do like a small little amp room, or like I said, maybe some drums.
You going to do any type of build out in here? Or are you going to just kind of put up some acoustic treatments? Or?
I've gotten the approval to do the lighting and then the paint. And I want to get some fiberglass panels and kind of treat it up a little bit. But I think once we do that and tame the flutter and the slapback, which I can hear right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
It'll tighten up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be cool because we can do like little podcasts in here if we wanted to. The plan initially was to put a window in the wall.
Right.
The studio window.
That'd be kind of cool, yeah.
Which right now with all my panels, I don't really want it. But it would be cool though, to have that connection with the artist. But I have TalkBack, and we'll figure it out. But I do have a sub-snake that I've gotten to be long enough to go from here, if we were going to drop it and run some mics, or the live room.
All the way out to the live room?
Yeah.
Just look at that. So out here is where you do the events.
Yep.
Obviously.
This is the listening room, what everybody sees and where the performance is. I don't know the capacity. I think it's like 65. We can fit some people. Yeah, we can fit some people in here. And there's been shows where the artist okayed more people to just stand back here. So those are really fun shows. Whenever you get a packed house in here, those are the best ones, because the energy it's what makes it all happen.
Yeah.
And the band just plays the songs and it just happens.
Well, it's always better to pack a small room than to like play to a big empty room. So,
yeah.
You know, you can be like, yeah, we're playing marquee, but you know, it's empty.
Like this, everyone's up in front.
Yeah. Got your, 100 people in there, looks like nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you play, you pack like Valley Bar, it's way more fun. Or you pack a room like this.
Exactly.
Way more fun.
Yeah. And this is cool too, because it's like it's somewhat treated, but very much lively. Like you can hear my voice go to the end of the room. But once there's people in here, it tightens up.
Yeah.
And I've come to learn the room EQ and just what to shred from EQ. To just make it sound a little more natural and let the Bose L1 sort of travel through here. And that's also one of the things in the listening room is it's powered by or sound by Bose. And believe it or not, that thing, I don't know, it does a job. It's got the big sub down there.
No, I'm very familiar with the Bose, the old L1s and the MA12s and like the whatever, I think they're still called the L1s today, or the newer modern model, but
yeah,
I've used the first generation ones with the big home plate bass, and I've used these more modern ones
that fold all the way up into a backpack.
Yeah, and they're cool. I mean, I really got to say that they are cool. I mean, all Bose jokes aside, they definitely are useful for these types of events. They're very focused sounding, whereas like a louder box type speaker would kind of probably be more sporadic in here. But the Bose is actually surprisingly nice, and it is kind of cool. It's true to a point that you can have it behind your mics.
Yeah.
To a point.
Yes, let's talk about that.
We won't get into that. But yeah, I am familiar with Bose, and I will say that they are pretty handy systems for smaller stuff like this. I think they're great.
And with the kind of acts that we get in here, it's like singer-songwriter, vocal acoustic. You know, that's what it's kind of tamed for. It's for those artists to go to a coffee shop that, you know, isn't equipped with a good system or a system at all. And so it's a good selling point for them, for it to be in here to just show how big it can sound. And the Midas M32 definitely has a huge impact on how this all happens because of all the EQ that's available on it,
right,
and things that I can do to just scope the sound and just tame feedback.
Do you, well, with leaving the Bose behind, is that also acting as the monitor?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that definitely kind of helps stage volume stay down and, you know, whatnot.
Exactly. And bands definitely learn very fast as soon as they set up the drum kit, which, you know, we try to advance to just have it stripped down, brushes, or just play soft.
Play to the room.
Which is it's kind of weird because if bands haven't done that, it's a learning curve. But we also do have a second L1, which just kind of helps get over the stage volume and just like really pump out what you need.
Yeah, two of those sticks, man, definitely a lot of power. For
and
a
the
room
subs
like this.
make it, I don't know, just make it feel really cool, like a big room.
And I see you've got two mics. You were talking about you have mics up in the room. You got two mics over here.
Yeah, we have a shotgun up there, and then we have two cardioids.
Oh, in the ceiling, I see it. So you've got these two corner mics, then a shotgun up on hanging from here.
Yeah, we just got one shotgun up there, and then these two guys over here.
Cool.
One over there, one over there.
Aimed outward, getting the kind of like the crowd and stuff.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like, so when I mix. There's the live feed, or there's the just the show that's happening, and then I have a separate mix that's going on a different iPad. That's for the Facebook Live streaming, or if they use a different platform to stream, but it's all done live.
But it's a separate mix entirely.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because sometimes I might not use
you
know, everything in the PA.
Sure, but everything's got to go to the stream.
Right.
Yeah.
And everything does have to be mic. Bands will usually come up and they're like, oh no, dude, we don't need any mics. And I'm like, well,
for the broadcast,
this is what this all is, okay? And I explain that we're recording, we're multi-tracking, and the possibilities of what that can all turn into, whether it's just a music video or if they don't have anything out there, this can be the material that they can use to take to other venues and basically show what they can do. So yeah, it's kind of cool to, like I said, the M32 is the brain of it all that allows the multi-tracking, the live feed, and then the feed that's going on in here.
Right. No, that's cool. Yeah, it's a very, very powerful board. Digital boards, yeah, it's impressive what they can do now.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I've got it to where I have like two LA2As on there.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So that I don't overwork that channel compressor. I'll have that and then the LA2A. But sometimes we get like 12 vocals up here.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because everyone has to have one. Because it's kind of awkward in the live feed when someone's talking and you just hear like.
Right.
But
I'm just how much processing can you do with like the M20, like M32? How many plugins can you run on that thing before it kind of peters out? Do you know?
Well, it's maxed out. Like you have 8 banks. You can use, then the first 4 are effects. So I have like my plate, my hall, then you have 3 tap delay, and then another delay, like a longer delay. And then you have your graphic EQs. And what I have is a limiter on there, and then I have the LA2A, and then I have the house graph EQ. Because like a monitor, you want to shred that, and then I'll have an extra set of graphs in case I want to put that on the microphone. That's troublesome. And then the LA2As are for whatever I need it for. If there's no singing, then I'll use it on like an acoustic guitar or whatever else is going on. And the limiter is very helpful with the live feed to sort of get it to an appropriate volume and also to tame any peaks. Because the way that it's monitored is there's a meter on the Switcher app for the videos. That's where the feed goes to, and that sends out the feed. So there's like a very small window that you want to get that just your overall volume and just keep it there so that it sounds, so it translates good.
Right.
Because there's no real processing. You're just feeding these signals into it, so that limiter is like the only thing I really have to kind of push things up a little bit more.
Right.
And it has a cool like parallel compression on there too.
That's cool.
That adds like some harmonic distortion and stuff.
So you're using them in the very old school broadcast sense of it's just balancing your level to wherever you're sending it. Yeah.
So I mean, compression on like these guys, whatever's going on really has to be tame. Like there can't be like all of a sudden I'm going to start strumming really loud.
Right.
Like that needs to be like squashed.
Leveled out.
Yeah. Not like, you know, to
not rock and roll, but you know.
yeah, but like it has to do the job. The compressor has to like tame it, especially, and that's like the main thing that I'm going for, because that same feed is the 2-track recording that's going into Logic, which is what we use. And so we'll have the full multi-track stems.
And those are also printing to Logic?
Yeah. And then we'll have the 2-track that's mixed. So we'll get that and put it to the video. And if they want post, then we'll use the stems.
Right.
So they'll listen to that and then kind of demo it out. And if they feel like, oh, I could have done this, we might even like overdub a part. We haven't yet, but they might think, I think this could have been louder, or on this part, I really want this to do this, so then I'll just mix it in post.
Or Jimmy didn't show up and do the shaker. We need to add the shaker.
Gotta take the shaker.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because like things cut, you know, mics will easily pick things up. But I've been really using the heck out of Isotope, the RX4.
Oh, yeah.
Like the post-production stuff, and that's like
it's
really helping.
Yeah, the Isotope, like the sound removal stuff, the RX stuff, that stuff is insane to me now.
For like all the documentary stuff, you see the examples on YouTube, because I'm like I'm still trying to learn it. And it's like, oh, that's how that sounds when I'm watching Netflix. You know, you go from just this mic to this very clean, just good sound.
Yeah, I mean, I've used that stuff in a very basic, rudimentary sense, and even that impresses me, how well it does it now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you talk to people that have been around, you know, a little longer, and they were like, yeah, initially it was, you know, for forensics and whatnot, and it wasn't particularly great. And you can like, you know, watch like old bad documentaries about people trying to like, you know, you can hear it artifacting and stuff. But it is crazy how good it is now. Yeah.
You hear the gate open up.
Yeah. But it's insane to me how crazy that stuff is now at noise reduction, even just straight up taking out stuff.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what I do. Because there's like, you know, the stage isn't as quiet as you want it to be.
Wood planks, right?
Yeah, and you'll hear like this intimate part, and then you'll hear, which is kind of cool, but it gets picked up on everything else.
Right.
To where like in the main source, you don't want that in there.
Maybe a little too loud, and you just want to bring it back.
Yeah, yeah. But like it also does the upsampling too, which is kind of cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. What I've heard is like the RX, what's it at now? Like 9?
I have no idea, to be honest.
But apparently the algorithms are a lot better. But I mean, RX4 is still cool.
Right.
It does the job. It sounds good.
No, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Paul, again, for having us come down. It was great. I learned a lot about what you do here.
There's a lot that goes on.
Yeah.
It's hard for artists to wrap like everything around their heads, and hopefully this can kind of get the word out and let people know, you know, this is one route that they can take with live recording or even just studio quality recordings and make it happen.
So many things. So yeah, Listening Room, check it out. Thanks for watching.